everyone, it's Lisa Bongean, and I would love to show you how I stitch lettering on all my quilts and wool projects. Alright, so I just want to back up and show you what I have for you. So this is my pattern, my idea that I had, and I had Terry, who's the graphic designer at Primitive Gatherings, run me a nice scripty font. So you can kind of see I'm kind of playing around what else I want to add. And I really don't know. I change my mind a lot until I start stitching something. So if you'll notice how some of the words are thick and thin, and that's what we want, and that's what I'm going to show you how to get the thickness in this. So the first thing that you're going to do is you're going to place this on a light table, and then you're going to put your fabric on top of this, and then you're going to trace. So then you will trace with a friction marker or something that will show up. This erases with heat. So if you do a little boo-boo, it's easy to erase. Now, one of the things that I want you to do is when you put this on your light table, I want you to only trace everything single. And just trace it like right in the middle. Now, when you see that I'm halfway through this, so you had a good idea of what it actually looks like. My U is completely stitched with all the thick lines in. But everything else I just stitched single. Now I'm just going to finish the E here for you so you know how I stem stitch, and that's the stitch that I'm using. But I just want to show you I'm using 5-weight Valdani pearl cotton. Now this is the thickest one they make, and it's a little bit tricky to thread. So I just want you to know that this is how I thread. I take the eye of my needle and I place it directly onto the thread, and I let go of everything else, and then I just move my fingers away and it pops in there, and then you can pull it through. But if that's hard for you to do, I want you to know that these little $2 needle threaders are lifesavers. So all you would do is put this little threader in the eye of the needle, place the thread in the little hook, and pull it through. So that's how those work. Sometimes late at night I can't thread anymore, so that's the thing that I use. Now I don't put a knot in my thread. And what I do is I leave a tail, and then I start stitching, and then I go back and I bury my tails in the stitching. Now some people will want to put like a fusible interfacing on the back, and you can do that, but with the thickness of the flannel, I just don't do it because it's nice and soft, and if I tuck my tails in, and I'm using a tone-on-tone thread here, so there's really no need for it unless you absolutely love to stitch through it. So when I start stitching, I had this set down for a little while here, so let me get this untangled. Alright, so let me see where I'm at here. So I start stitching and I pull my thread back, and I'm stitching about 1/8 of an inch. I don't stitch much bigger than that at all. Now, whether you're right-handed or left-handed, when you execute the stem stitch, you always have to bring your thread around counterclockwise. So some of you might want to throw it this way around, but do you see the nice rope-looking stitch that I get by doing it this way? If you toss it the other direction, it'll look more like a wire. I probably have too long a thread here for a demo, but let me just quickly stitch this E. So you see I'm bringing it here and I'm bringing it around. So that's how you continue to stitch the whole letter. Nice and little stitches around those curves. And it does go pretty fast, so don't think that you have to take bigger stitches. Before you know it, this will be your favorite stitch to do. Alright, I'm just going to turn a little bit because that's what I would do. It's a little bit more difficult to stitch when we're videotaping. And just remember to sit in your chair, and I like to stitch with a pillow on my lap. My back is in my chair. Add the second pass here, or the thickness, in my H. So just like I did here on the Y. So like I started on the top here and then ran to right where it gets thin again. So here's where I started and there's where I stopped. And all I'm doing is laying another stem stitch as close as I can to the previous one. So here, same thing, down and inside, and I stopped right about there. Now I'm using the 5-weight thread on both of the first line and then the thickness. Sometimes in a project where it's not this big of lettering, you might want to stitch with an 8-weight and then do your thickness with a 12-weight if you just want a little bit more thickness and not a lot more. Or you could do a 5-weight and then thicken with an 8-weight. It's kind of, you got to play around and see what you like. So now I'm going to come in here from behind on that top, kind of like right where it starts to get thick. And on the back I'm going to leave my tail because I'm going to go bury that. Alright, so then all I'm doing is pull that thread back, come forward about 1/8 of an inch, and then back to that first stitch, the first hole. So I'm stitching back to the hole every time. Every time I pull my thread back, see that hole? That's where I'm stitching to. And that's all you do to add that thickness in. So see how it's nice getting thicker, and you can't really tell where that start is. And you just park that needle right next to that other line of stitching. Alright, just bear with me till I get down so I can show you how I'm going to end. I'm looking at my H, and I'm going to go all the way down to the bottom and end right in that bottom of the loop. I'm just going to poke my needle in right there, come to the back side, and then I'm just going to thread my tail in some of the other stitches. Can you see that really good? I want to make sure you see how I'm just burying it into the stitches about 1 inch or so, and then you can clip it nice and close. Okay, so here we go. Remember I did that kind of fast, but look at how nice it looks. Okay, so that's how I simply do that stem stitch lettering with the thick and the thin lines. All right, so that's all you need. You learned everything there is to stitch lettering. Now, if you want some of these projects and supplies that I have used here today, there will be a link in my description for everything that we have here, including a pillow form for this size pillow if you can't find one. So we get a really good deal on our pillow forms, so check that out as well, and make sure you like and share our video. Bye now.